last year. And the Kenyan ladies, they'll be looking to build on that performance. They need to get some points on the board here today at the Dani Craven Stadium. They will not want to leave empty-handed. One can only imagine the difficulties that they went through to get here.
Well, Paul Stubbs, it is an honor to be here. And the words that ring through my head are those of Hugh Masekela. I want to be there. And it's here that we are. It's in Women's Month. The week after South Africa celebrated Women's Day, that our women's rugby side and the Lionesses from Kenya meet.
Thank you.
And despite the challenges that they have faced, I think of Maya Angelou, still I rise. And still we find a way for the game to continue. Paul and I have asked to be a part of this, and it is an absolute honor to be here today.
Grace Ariambo gets us underway.
Backwards.
Slipping through the fingers of Sabirs. South Africa secure possession on the far side.
She's got the ball.
Oh, great contest at the breakdown, in fact, and Kenya have turned the ball over immediately. Big hits in the midfield. What a pace this match has begun at. Now cutting back on the angle, Akini. Through the hands of Calamera.
Advantage.
Jordan affects the tackle. The experienced head in the Springbok squad, 33 caps to her name.
Number 10.
And a penalty to Kenya, of course. Anton, without Babalwa Lwachwa, celebrity of South African women's rugby, really, here today, the captain of this team. So that will affect the Springbok ladies.
Oh, indeed. Babalwa Lwachwa, as you said, a celebrity, an icon, breaking through ceilings, not only for women's rugby, but rugby in general. She's a lawyer. She told me, I think she's got about 8 bolts in her shoulder as we speak.
Check the numbers.
She doesn't seem too deterred, but
Bit closer.
It's a big test for the players that are coming in, and she'll certainly be supporting them in spirit.
Stacey Achiendo.
Play on, it's backwards off green.
Handling not good enough, just at the peak of the jump, but somehow it's come back on the Kenyan side. Aoma, Arihambo, seeking the back line, but Chachira.
Tackle, release.
Taken down, tackle called, and it must be sent away. Arihambo does just that. Kodo.
Work.
And Kenya controlling possession in the opening stages. On the other hand, the Springbok defense
Knock on.
holding up strong.
Well, Paul, earlier I said there was 7 changes. There's actually 11 changes to the Kenya squad. And the reason I said 7 was that a lot of these 7s players have been brought in. And in fact, Lynette Moore is the only back who's retained.
Ladies, be patient.
And, you know, starts a handout to the Olympians. Judith Auma, she came off the bench last Thursday.
Bind.
As well as her fellow Olympians, Grace Adiambo,
Set.
Kulu, Christopher Lindo,
It's collapsed.
Philadelphia Orlando, to name a few. And also Camilla Atieno and Janet Okela. They're making their first appearance of the tour. And Paul, you can as we spoke about the energy, and the Lionesses are roaring today.
I want a long bind.
With all of those changes as well, fluidity must be very positive.
Crouch.
A great positive for their coaching staff.
Bind. Set.
Solid set on the scrum this time around. Felicia Jacobs at the base. Just injecting pace immediately. That is a strong run from Chumi Sakawe. Jacobs keeps it moving. Slightly static on the blind side. Jordan takes it in, and a turnover ball at breakdown again. The Kenyans are striking, and that's their fly-off. Grace Adiambo.
Well, Adiambo doubling up really is a loose forward there, and we spoke about the 7s mix-up, and that, you know, Kenyans are renowned around the world, their rugby side, for their 7s, and I think that shows the versatility of the skill set of the players. As we look now, as Stacey Atieno misses her mark, just narrowly turned over. And so quick as Felicia Jacobs, who gets it now, the Springbok woman firing it out, using the battering ram captain, Sanda Dumka, to smash it up. Quickly out again to the left. And Paul, that is a pinpoint kick. I think it went forward out the hands, we'll see.
Went forward, knock on.
Looking dangerous, Anton. Great to see the Springbok women finally with some ball in hand. And the Kenyans forced to do some defending. But both sides looking willing to run it, and why not? The weather is absolutely superb here in Stellenbosch after some rainy days in the Cape region.
There is a sense of celebration, I must say, in the Cape, in Stellenbosch. Fields still green from the rain.
Yes.
However, the sun is out. It is warm, and South Africa, a nation lifted by the men's rugby, their triumphs over the Lions in Argentina, and now the women who defeated the Lionesses of Kenya 66-0 in their last bout meet again. And really, just to reiterate what Paul Stubbs, my colleague, said, it's a good day to be here. It's a good day for rugby, and thanks to our broadcasters, the Springboks, for making this happen. It really is an honor.
Great support in the stands from Springbok ladies not included in the squad today. And of course, for the Lionesses on tour, one can understand why they made those 11 changes to come all the way to South Africa on this tour. You want to make sure that everybody in your squad gets at least one chance to play. Do you have an injury? It looks like it is Mika Gunter on debut, of course, who's gone down.
Oh, that's very sad to see Mika Gunter exiting the field, and we'll be wishing her the best. Huge roar for Bushlebeto Sanabze comes onto the field, and Mika Gunter, we will be thinking of you and your family and keeping you updated, but
ladies, let's play.
I'm sure she'll be back, and certainly a career, having seen her play in the varsity setup, she will be playing for South Africa in many more caps to come.
Okay, time on. Coach. Bind. Set.
Feeding the scrum, Felicia Jacobs. Great scrum from the Kenyans. The change in the front row not working at first for the Springbok women, and somehow only a scrum to be reset.
It's a scrum.
Oh, the Lionesses will
It was a
feel
knock.
that a penalty may be coming their way if they continue scrumming like that.
I'd say.
Paul, I feel quite honored. I've got a name drop here. I've got a message from our captain, Babalo Macha.
I'll move out your way.
He's watching us.
I'll move out your way. Okay.
Approval, so
Coach.
I hope you're doing well.
Bind. Set. Stay.
But now the Lionesses pumping the ball across the field. There is a potential overlap. The legs are moving, charging down the tram line. Powerful tackle from Polisa Kawe. Brings it out.
Outstanding stuff. Lindo down the wing for the Kenyan ladies. And those changes with the sevens players coming in can only improve the team as well. Finished 10th at the Olympics. And as strange an experience as that Tokyo
numbers.
Olympics must have been, must have earned a wealth of experience for these players. Sonamzi on replacing Gunter. Great line out for South Africa. Now the hard-running center, Kawe, in the action again. Jacobs, perfect pass there to Jordan. The ball moving slickly through the hands. Saliers hangs one up, and that's well directed.
Wow! Wow! Precision. And that is the 50-22 rule. The knowledge, execution, awareness.
Open up. Open up.
Just
You're on the mark.
fantastic pull stop.
Open.
So you'll notice now, the line-out is for the South African women. Up at the front once more, rising high, Gachulwa. And they set the rolling maul. This famous South African fair. But it is not well set, and again the Lionesses dominate up front. Troubling signs for a young scrum with a couple of debutantes.
Paul, I think it just speaks to the ferocity and the determination of the Lionesses. Would have been hurting after the last match, the 66-point deficit, but they have come out undeterred, fighting at every breakdown, and moments like this.
You can stand on my left. Okay.
Earlier we made reference to the 50-22 rule. That's a new rule that was brought in on the 1st of August.
Coach!
Whereby
Bind!
if you put the ball out into touch,
Ladies, stand up. You're closing the gap on bind. Let's only bind with the arm, and then you leave your gap for set.
official today. Victorious to give some feedback to the scrum. This implementation of the new rule, which is set to encourage faster play, as you receive the ball back if you put it out in positions 22 from the 50. Did I get it correct, Paul? Is that a good summation?
I do believe so.
I've only had 2 weeks to get my head around it, but
Yeah, to favour the attacking kickers as Auma clears it from the base. Pressure on Kenya to clear this. Yeah, so to favour the attacking kickers, if you're beyond the 50, beyond the halfway line, and you kick a precision kick trying to drop it into an area, you can get the attacking
Just
throw.
wait. Get back.
It will be interesting to see how that affects defensive structures, because of course wings will
Okay, when
need to
you're
drop
ready.
back to cover those kicks. Might open more spaces on attack to keep ball in hand as well. Every rule in rugby, people will pick it apart
Play
and
it.
try to find a way to take advantage.
truer words are never spoken.
Down off the top again, not rising too high in the line of the Springbok women, but they've been successful. Saliers. Big hit to the
She's got
field
the
on
ball.
Saliers. Net clean out is strong, but yet another turnover for Kenya. Now straight to the line. That's great running from Koro, Philadelphia Koro. One of those that was brought into the team. Saliers monitoring this, brilliantly taken. So that's Louise Webb. And here's Saliers, numbers on the outside for the
Here we go.
women.
Here we go.
Jacobs wider again. That pass not on target. Still with Jacobs
Sorry.
in his South African hands. Charlie takes it in.
And that was a big hit. You could hear it across Donny Craven Stadium. As now another huge hit comes in from Charlie. A pop and a penalty. Wow, these women today are giving it everything, pumping into each other, and that skill set has been unbelievable as we see the locker Cather Jacobs being thumped again, and it's a story thus far of the game. The Springboks execute well, and the Kenyans just come back with their tenacity.
No advantage.
And there'll be a scrum to Kenya from a knock-on, slightly disjointed in organising their clearance after affecting a turnover from a strong tackle. Wow, the shoulders are warm
Here's your
here
mark.
on the Kenyan side of life. Entertaining match thus far. Great to be back here at the Donny Craven. Such great weather as well. Back to playing rugby after, of course, a very difficult 2020, which has spilled into 2021, not just for this nation, but for the world. We're managing to organise rugby tournaments again, not just at the top level, but at age group level in the men's game and in the women's game as well. Seeing the
Coach.
Curry Cup back on screen as well, just brilliant.
Bind. Set.
And the enormous pressure once more. Adi Hambo
All on side.
clears and does very well. Alicia Aris does very well not to touch that ball on his way into touch.
And here we see the set pieces that have been contested fiercely. And bearing in mind all the changes that have been brought in. Oh, wow. That just makes that all the more fantastic. Achulwa receiving it. Pinpoint throw from replacement scrum half.
You've lost it, Red. You're off your feet.
Sonomazi, excuse me.
It's backward play on.
Oh, great kick to the corner that from Jordan. This may just result in another attacking line out. It does. And not just because of the 50-22 rule, just an outstanding kick towards the corner. And Kenya under defensive pressure. Musindalo had no choice but to take the ball into touch.
I'll tell you, Zane Jordan is showing why she's been in the game for 13 lucky years.
Green, you can come in.
And
open, straight
Paul
line.
touched earlier on the camaraderie from the non-playing South African women's team. And they are screaming. The line-up comes off the fingertips, but Springbok women's hands.
Solonsi secures. Jacobs to clear. This the biggest chance for the Springbok women thus far. Jordan sends it and it's through the hands of Kawe. Saliers on the outside finds some on-rushing Kenyan defenders. And 1-for-1 they are making their first-time tackles. And Jacobs to Jacobs. Katha Jacobs in the number 5 jersey, driven backwards. Now there's spaces and it slipped through the hands of Webb. And it's still on, knocked on though by Kawe.
Advantage, Red.
And Paul, it's a story again.
Advantage over.
Springbok women passing the ball, firing it out, looking at opportunities, but the Kenyans, the Lionesses coming in charging as we see yet another huge tackle, this time from Stacey Atieno on Sizo Solonsi, the 8th woman for South Africa.
Jacobs to Jordan, working the blind now, not much space for Saliers. And the Kenyans have shown their willingness to make those first-time tackles. Great angle.
Thank you.
Metin.
Oh!
Mate.
Oh, not today.
Wow. Entertaining stuff from both sides.
Mpube Mate just got a backwards trip of about 5 meters. 1 meter up, 5 meters back. And the Kenyan, the Lionesses are not letting the door break down just yet.
One would imagine in a game of more consequence, perhaps in a tournament, that this kick may be going for the posts. But of course, riding high on the confidence of winning 66 points to 0 in the last match, the Springbok women will be looking to score as many tries as possible, because this, of course, is about preparation for the next step. They're going to the World Cup next year. They want to be on their best form.
And the set piece, it's a full complement. And Coach Robenheimer,
First off, Red.
you know, you're talking about opportunities, and it's a time to practice the set pieces to make sure, you know, against competition that things are working. And so now we move from the line-out set piece to the scrum.
He started with 2 debutants up front. An unfortunate injury to Mika Günther. We've seen Sonamzi now in the center of the front row for South Africa.
Bind. Set.
Felicia Jacobs feeds. This Kenyan scrum is full of fire. And the a penalty.
The Lionesses are roaring in the Donny Craven Stadium in Stellenbosch today. And it is a test. It is not only a test match, but it's a test for the Springbok women's. The Kenyan side, the physicality, the athleticism of the players, incredibly strong. And they've really been testing the Springbok women's, who have been pressing with their size, and there's far more variation, I'd say, in the their skills rather, in the size of the Springbok women's side. The Kenyans are largely all long-legged and very physical players. Jordan, that awareness, you can't buy that, can you?
Mora covering, and it's going to be a 5-meter line out for the Springbok women. Quite clear, Anton, that they've targeted this 50-22 rule as a tactic, and they do have Zane Jordan, the player with experience in the 10 jersey, to knock it into the corners. What a big advantage it is. This rule is going to change things.
Ladies behind the line. Behind the line.
And how absolutely precise has Zane Jordan been in implementing it. Precision will be required now. And once again. Oh, no matter! Try time! Springbok Women Open courtesy of Lusanda Dumka.
Well, the celebrations from the stands here, the small crowd of those that did not make the Springboks, starting 23 today, really celebrating that try from their captain, Lusanda Dumka. Came from a stolen line-out is the reality. Akinyi getting up at the front as the Springbok women try to move from that two-jumper position. They had Ngachulwa, who's been a regular jumper, shifting backwards. However, the throw from Sonamzi didn't clear the first jumpers of Kenya, who are really contesting and disrupting that set piece for the Springbok women. Likewise, at scrum time, Kenya is dominating absolutely, but dominating the possession stats and playing with ball in hand. The ladies of South Africa, and now Zane Jordan can add the extra 2. Jordan! Over it goes. 7 points on the board here at the Dani Craven Stadium. Kenyan women, of course, will be staring down the barrel. They know exactly what happened in the previous test, and they'll be looking to make this one far more competitive. And they'll be desperate to score, of course, in the first half.
And we're having a water break, well deserved, and as my colleague Paul Stubbs was saying, that Kenyans, the Lionesses, will be hoping to basically keep that door from breaking down, but they have really put in all their spirit, and it was just through that, you know, the resilience of the Springbok women's pool that they just carried on going and inevitably just sort of burst through. Literally.
I mean, I think the feature of those, the first quarter of this match has been the cold shoulders of the Kenyans. My goodness. Very enjoyable stuff. I mean, there's no lack of passion on defense. Structurally, they haven't been clearing their lines well enough, and that's why the Springbok women have continued to put pressure on them. Of course, they're bringing in to the coaching staff recently Lynn Cantwell, high performance coach, who's brought in from Ireland, a former Ireland international as well. Getting a woman into the women's game, a high performance coach, so that they can focus on enhancing the performance, not of a general rugby player, but specifically of a female rugby player. It's been for too long handled simply by men, and as an offshoot of the men's game, this is a change in direction. This is recognizing that this is a different game altogether, and that the women need the focus, exactly the same focus as the men get. Although there's plenty of focus on the men, the Springboks.
Indeed, and in fact, the heroism of the women's side, you know, Babalo Lache, the only professional player in South African women's rugby, these players on the field for both sides, they are mothers, they are students, they are holding jobs, you know, sometimes more than one job, and they are playing rugby in the midst of it. And the fact that they are doing that now, that is a triumph. And to echo what we said, it's an honor to be here, because as South Africa starts to put more focuses on our women rugby, it is inevitable that they will take their place in the sun, and it's just a matter of time.
And growing the game is literally the most important thing, because while there are approximately 83,000 active professional rugby players in South Africa in the men's game, there are only approximately 3,000 active professional players in the women's game. So increasing that pool from which we can choose will inevitably, of course, increase the quality of the national team as well. The national team, which is still currently qualifying for World Cups, but they want to take it to the next level to match the exploits of the men's game. Of course, our men's team doing exceptionally well at the moment. And the Kenyan ladies getting back into position for kickoff, having conceded just the 7 points in that opening 20 minutes. And bear in mind, they lost 66 points to the last time, so that's a victory in itself. Referee Ashley Murray Pretorius ready to get us underway. Amy Barrett to run, most experienced of all the South African women's referees, running one of the touchlines today.
And lovely to see Amy Barrett to run here, watching on. a woman who has broken
I'll move
ceilings
out your way.
boundaries in South African rugby.
I'll move out your way.
And a slight change of
Coach.
tone after that try that has rippled across the stadium.
Bind.
One can hear, you really can hear the thuds. Paul spoke about the shoulder of the Kenyan shoulder, the cold shoulder, and we hear that knock. As the scrum met, we felt it, and we can hear the enthusiasm of the Springbok women.
I mean, that's a great result for the Springbok women after going backwards at every single scrum up until this point. There's no other way to say it. Olesia going down with an injury for Kenya. And they've won a scrum penalty, achieved some parity at that scrum, and forced the Kenyan Lionesses into wheeling it around. Saliers finding a good touch, proficient boot from the outside center.
Yep.
Sonamzi
Just wait. Wait.
with another test. Kenya has been contesting and contesting well lately in the lineouts, and once more putting pressure on that receipt, and they win a scrum on the back of it. Set pieces for Kenya, brilliant so far.
And just to give you an update on the score, South Africa women lead 7-0, and it was courtesy of a try from the captain, not only of South Africa women, but of the domestic champions Border, Lusanda Dumka.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Far better at scrum time from South Africa, but breaking well down the blind. Here come Kenya, and Murrah tackled into touch eventually. But what a break that was. Wambui on the charge.
A short line out is set up. I thought it was very calm and collected. Springbok women are looking, and well, yet again, Sinazo Achulwa takes it, bursting right through the middle. Seems to be that the Lionesses really, his strength today has been spreading it out through the tram lines, as we're going to see now. They use the kick, and it is Felicia Jacobs, one of the fastest, most mobile, and perhaps the smallest player on the field, who gets it out. An opportunity for the Springbok women to show their skill set, as it is Mpumi Mate takes it in, and Zane Yoran just sees that spot.
And that kick is bearing fruit time after time. Musindalo now under pressure, but she's found a way away. Musindalo takes on another. The cover defender across. Louise Webb staying in position and putting in a strong tackle. And Kenya's best chance on attack. Oh, and
Off
it's
the
been
chest,
knocked down
off the
by
chest.
Chajira.
Oh, you see some emotions coming on. Eloise Webb just put her head down and took on that tackle. That is just textbook. On the shoulder, stopped what seemed like an unstoppable force, and really just, if you're a rugby
Lady.
player up and
want
coming,
you
that's
to-
how you do it.
I
You know,
want
she
you to
placed
make
her
sure
head in
you
the right
straight,
position
Keep your original
and
bind.
stopped a very strong, fast player.
Just not getting enough ball in hand, Kenya. And the structures, when they do have it, are not allowing them to use the athleticism of the outside backs. Musindalo showing, you put her in a gap, she's gone
Set.
away. Look at the change in the scrum structure.
Loose
And
it.
another penalty to the Springbok women.
Took a step out.
And some of the ladies in the stands not happy that advantage wasn't played. But the call was fair enough. Just as Solonsi was breaking away from the scrum. Turn of events. Must have been read the riot act by the coach during that drinks break. Saliers knocks it into touch. Still just 7 points to 0, Anton. Great contest. 66-0 in the first match. Kenya making a fist of it here.
And this really is a test match. There's the emotions in the stands, emotions of the commentators. It's all happening. And yet now the line-out's really working for the Springbok woman. Jordan, a precision pass, interlinking. The 8th woman gives it out to Webb. And a final pass just not sticking. But they're starting to come together now on the South African women's side, Paul.
Alicia Aris knocking it on, another player who is on debut for the Springbok women. And even the more experienced players in the team, of course, besides Danae Jordan, who's on 33 caps, the majority have 2 caps, 5 caps. It's just so important
That last one, you took a step
for
out and then
the
went
Springbok
in.
women to get
Keep your
more
angle
games
straight.
against higher level competition as well. But also, of course, for rugby in Africa to become stronger and for our local competitors to become as strong as our international.
Indeed, and it is about African rugby becoming stronger, and there cannot be competition without cooperation. And this is really an exercise in which 2 nations have come together to build each other stronger, both their rugby communities and certainly our interests. Oh, that handoff interrupts commentary, interrupts play, fires it off. Paul Stubbs, what are we watching?
Oh! On the inside, what a tackle! Saliers, she gets back in time. And the Dani Craven is alight with excitement now. Back on the inside, Mora. The Lionesses of Kenya come alive.
Wow!
Tap and go, it's the fly off Arihambo. And was that the right choice from the Lionesses? They're keeping the tempo up over the line. Try given. Spectacular stuff. Kenya strike back and they have the chance to level up the game against the women of the Springboks.
Can't stop, won't stop. That is one of the most thrilling passages of rugby I have seen in ages. Started off with a handoff that interrupted broadcasting. I think it moved time, and we spoke about the Lionesses' determination. That was a try earned through sheer hard work and will. And the Springbok women are a bit shell-shocked, so the commentary team.
Dangerous running. We pointed it out just before. We saw Musindalo making that break in their own half. Kenya not having much structured possession. The moment they did get some, Arihambo hung out the hand very effectively and made the break up field. The tap and go from the quick penalty as well, perhaps playing to their strengths. Very good at contesting the lineouts against South Africa. The scrums have come back into balance. So upping the tempo and catching South Africa off guard. Here is Arihambo for the extras. No good, that one. Swinging away to the left. 7 points to 5.
Well, Paul, I'm just so glad that try and that handoff was caught. And I think it should be doing the rounds on Instagram this evening. It was just an unbelievable moment. And once again, just to reiterate the determination, the passion that these women are playing with, really clear that they are representing their country. And the Kenyan Lionesses are starting to get warmed up. This game is coming alive.
Still trying to make 100% sure who scored. Right now the belief is Grace Arihambo, the fly off herself.
Stop, Green!
As they send it back.
You've got to stop in front of the kicker. Option.
Penalty to South Africa. Offsides, advancing too quickly.
Penalties here.
And Eloise Webb ready to take it quickly, but the South African women playing the more structured game here at the Dani Craven. They appear to be ready to kick it to the corner and try out that line out again. It's important to get that right. They've been aiming every time for Mqachulwa. And if there's another receiver ready to go, perhaps it's time to use some deception at that set piece.
Paul, I'm going to say Mqachulwa might be the recipient of this. She's been taking it perfectly from Bushle Somazi, who had to come on early into the game. Excuse me, Sonamzi. And yes. There we go.
Small.
And they set the rolling more. Now can they get some momentum? Thwarted earlier on when they tried this. The scrum has been sorted, but is the rolling maul the same? Having to break away, Sonamzi.
Gets out the pass.
Brilliant.
Really brilliant.
And Kawe takes it in. Solonsi does well to protect Jacobs under pressure. Now they are getting disjointed. The Kenyan defense again and again is driving South Africa backwards.
Ladies, get back,
I think that was our first driving maul that we saw, implemented well. The quick tap. Here we go. South African woman. The scrum of Felicia Jacobs sees a gap. Eloise Webb sees the space. And rather it was Saliers, I believe, who just broke her way over. And Springbok women respond immediately to the Lionesses' try.
And it is Saliers, Yaki Saliers. She's been brilliant today. And finally crossing the line by their own powers.
Thank you.
As opposed to the first try scored by South Africa, which was off a disrupted line out, which Kenya got up and got a hand up in front of the jumper. They'll be far happier with this.
About a minute.
Oh, it looked like the Springbok women were even caught by surprise by that quick tack from Felicia Jacobs.
Sorry.
Again, one of the more experienced
For the
players,
game.
Felicia Jacobs, with
But
just 5 caps
4
to
5
her name.
minutes.
So it just goes to show that the leadership of players like Babalwa Lachwa,
10 minutes, sorry.
Jordan and others, how important it is to this lady's side. That's a clean strike.
Wow! Wow! Now we're talking! Hey! You must forgive us, but we're right behind the Springbok women's players, and they are screaming, and they fully deserved. And Jackie Saliers on debut gets the try, and that kick is just wow.
Oh, well, the ladies in the stands are having a whale of a time. As that ball flew through the air, the cheers rose up. Oh, fantastic first half we're having. And most importantly, we're having fun as the neutral observers out there on the field, of course, gaining valuable experience.
As the restart sees the kick coming back, Paul made a good point in that it is a celebratory. Oh no, bugger! That is just so. It is a celebratory mood in Donny Craven as we witness rugby history, and I gotta say, some of the finest play I've seen in a long time.
So I think to see where it went out.
Oh, it just makes you miss the fans, doesn't it, Anton? Just having the squad here of South Africa cheering them on, just hearing the sounds fill up a stadium again. One can only imagine what it would sound like in Port Elizabeth this weekend for the second test against Argentina for the Springboks. Once more, they head to Ngachulwa in the line out, disrupted again, but the Springboks move forward. Kenya don't want to start defending too much. They've shown just how well they can defend, though. Aggressive tackling early on in this match. And slowing down the ball as well as they tackle the Springbok ladies, and they struggle to get the ground that kick charge, but we're going back for a penalty advantage. Starting to take more control here, Anton.
Certainly, and we can see just the alacrity of
Yeah.
Jacobs. Always looking for the quick touch, and she fires it out. And there's that skill set charging through.
You've lost it.
Jacobs doing really well to marshal her troops. The energy with which she brings onto the ball. And now we see good mixing it up from the Springbok women. They're slowing it down, using their big players.
Pick and go now. Round the corner. In the far corner it is. Just a melee of bodies. The South African women. The pick and go again. Corkscrewing out of a tackle. Inching closer and closer. They head back to the open side. And we're going back for a penalty.
What do you think? Yeah, quick take.
In front of the mark.
Well, attempted.
Seems to be the way now. It's Jacobs again. Powering into the hit was Charlie. Knocked backwards. Another debutant for South Africa today. And here is the abrasive number 8, Solonsi. This Kenyan defense is strong. Going to have to work on the offloads. Cross kick coming!
Could it be?
Oh, man, the bounce of the rugby ball taking it away. But some ingenuity from Zane Jordan. Wow, her boot is pinpoint. Every kick that she puts in is contestable.
Paul, Zane Jordan
behind the
today
22.
has been the complete fly half. She is picking apart things.
22.
She's seeing spaces. She is making full use of the recently implemented 50-22 rule. And we just almost saw, I wouldn't be surprised we see that cross kick implemented again. But the Lionesses are not just bowing down, and they're not really having any of it. So you see the restart now.
Straight down the center of the field to Eloise Webb. Webb keeps it moving. Oh, the dancing feet of Lusanda Dumke. Almost finding a gap. Jacobs gets it away to Jordan. More solid hits in the midfield from Kenya. And this is why Jordan has turned to the boot so many times. There's great space in behind the defensive line, and that defensive line is doing its job. Great running from Solonsi! Oh, yes! This game is growing in intensity, and now in the midfield again, Charlie to set it up. Off to Mgachulwa. Jacobs.
We saw a bounce from a winger and the skill set from a prop as it moves through the hands, and a double tackle on the winger there.
As Grain goes to ground, here's Jacobs
Full
again.
advantage.
Jordan upping the pace. All the ladies of South Africa. Jacobs, Katha Jacobs tackled in the midfield. Felicia Jacobs clears it from the base. Jordan into the line. Webb. Really great line that she came in with, accelerated the play, but thereafter the pass slightly in front of the target and the move breaks down. However, this is a very well
Offside,
contested
number
first
12.
half. Although South Africa are dominating possession, and that will trouble Kenya going forward. They just can't keep running around on defense like this. Bad things will happen.
And it's interesting. We see now the first attempt for the 3 points, but yeah, Paul, it seems a distinct thing of South African rugby, of breaking down the opposition. And, if you're new to rugby, you may have watched the documentary Chasing the Sun, and it characterized it. It was about the last 20 minutes. And we see it here as the South African women's side, bullying, charging, breaking down the Kenyan side, or trying to. The Lionesses have stood up thus far rather well. But the last 20 minutes
Let's just watch
might
the offside.
be when the door
Okay, there's
breaks
too
down.
many now.
Or they might not.
Oh, once more stepping up to the plate, Yaki Saliers. You would swear she wasn't on debut. And the coach, Stanley Robenheimer, must be thrilled with her forms thus far. Another clean strike from Saliers. Well, outstanding kicking technique. And 3 points added to the scoreline. Some respect shown there from South Africa for Kenya.
And Paul, you spoke about mixing it up now. We saw the rolling ball a bit earlier. You know, the passes, I must say, you know, Zane Jordan, we've been singing her praises, but she is moving the ball out left hand, right hand, really throwing it around. And we now see going for the 3 points and everything being utilized. Stanley Robenheimer said that this would be an opportunity to build depth and experience for both sides as we wait on the restart.
Grace Arihambo not seeing enough ball on attack. And when she has seen it, she's been dangerous. That's a great run from Sanaliswa Charlie. Been asked to do a lot of crash ball, and it's not been an easy job today.
No. She's good of her to do that. We see another Aware kick, but now 3 Lionesses back. The chase up is good, but there's a sense of nervousness, and you can see why. The hot stepper beats 3, bombs it out. Now we're going inside pass. Unleashes Lynette Mora.
Yes.
Oh, this is what it is, and there is a Kenyan Lioness backline waiting for the ball and coming on at pace. Wow, stopped.
Atieno taking it forward for Kenya. Now into the 22 of South Africa. Options left and right. The defensive line set up to the left.
Release!
In terms of Kenya's attack, and the tackles affected as well. Slowing the play down. is when they begin to struggle. The Kenyans straight into the tackles.
No green.
Nyambura, their captain.
Off your feet now.
And I think they took umbrage at the point scored against them earlier, and they are fighting back. These women are really going to war as the kick goes into the hand, and the blue hair flashes over. A try for the Lionesses. And there is... Oh, yeah, is the try awarded, Paul? Can we...
It appears so.
It appears so. There was some raised hands, but the speed with which that came about, and this is a real war back and forth, as immediately the try comes courtesy of just, once again, sheer determination and speed.
What an injection of quality these Sevens players have brought that have come back from the Olympics. Changing the scoreline from a 66-0 scoreline, although, of course, South Africa themselves have made a number of changes from their first team, including, of course, Mpupa, who scored 26 of those 66 points, including 4 tries, not featuring today with an injury. Well, whatever's happened, all of the changes, what they've provided us with, is a very well contested and extremely entertaining rugby match.
Extremely entertaining is the exact word, Paul Stubbs, and celebratory, and it's an honor. It's just lovely having mentioned the enthusiasm of the bench in the stadium.
Adhiambo. Oh yes, it's over.
It's a kicking masterclass from both sides.
It really is. Been thoroughly impressed by Saliers, not just off the tee, but kicking out of hand as well. And that is the end of the half. Barely even noticed the time flying by here in the first half, and what an half it's been. To the loud applause of their squad members.
Remember, it's 50-22. They were in their half, and
The
it went
Springbok
into
women
the
come
20s,
from the
but
field,
went
but the
out
Lionesses
into the
should be commended all the more for what they've done to bring this contest back into the balance after a difficult first outing in the first test on Thursday. Now with some changes to their squad and that of the Springbok women, we have a match on our hands in the second half, Anton.
Everything to play for in these next 40 minutes.
Thanks.
What an outing. What a day it has turned out to be. And an absolute test match being played. Excitement wall to wall.
Well, celebrities galore on offer here at the Donny Craven Stadium as well. Ran into Norman Jordan earlier, Springbok. And Paul Delport is here as well. Deeply involved with the 7 setup for the men of South Africa as well. And this first half, which has really just brought great joy to my heart, I must say, just to be back out here in Stellenbosch, Anton. But we're going to have an interview shortly. But what have you thought of the game so far?
Paul, joy is the correct word. Just be here with you, my friend, and in a stadium. There's a lot of memories for the both of us to watch women's rugby rising, as we see an absolute contest and the skill level at which the rugby is being played. I cannot stress it enough. This is not, trying to talk anything up. The women have been fast. The passes have been pinpoint. The physicality has been extraordinary, and it is just and the celebratory mood and the way in which the support from the women's side. And the Springbok women, they told me earlier, they sometimes call themselves the Diamonds. They have been screaming for each other. So what I make of it, Paul, I think
it's done now.
It's an absolute champagne game of rugby. And I think African rugby is going to be causing some nightmares for other nations across the world in the women's division.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Such a strong nation already in the African game. South Africa and Kenya naturally are going to be some of the competitors. If you've been keeping an eye on the development of the Sevens program, which started off with the men's, but of course is also with the women now, of course, finishing 10th out of 12
I feel like I'm in the way.
at the Olympics, which will be disappointing, but not as disappointing as it might have been, of course. And more power to women's rugby. The more games, the better. And that's why it's just so important that the Currie Cup, the Women's Currie Cup, was completed this year and completed and broadcast on TV. It's a step in the right direction, and that needs to continue going forward. The more exposure, the more women we get playing the game, to up those numbers from 3,000 approximately to get up to 10,000 that you can choose from. It's going to change everything.
Indeed, and Paul, really, so much must be said for South African rugby. for allowing this to happen, to pursue this, to give these women the opportunity to build the game. It has not been a difficult time to pioneer women's rugby through a pandemic, but they've found a way, and it really is extraordinary, and credit must go to the hard work of the management, of all the people we see behind the scenes, behind the women, and the women themselves, who are, as we mentioned earlier, holding jobs, doing all sorts of things as they continue to play the game as well.
And what do you think about the quality of the Donny Craven field?
Oh.
My gosh.
It's the only other thing, it's rugby or a picnic. I mean, that is one of the most beautiful images. And it's spring. It's as good as it gets. It's warm and green, and a backdrop. Wow.
I believe they say in these parts, "Dis altyd lente."
They do indeed. And we have a treffer playing at the moment, and just so evocative, and so much promise. So much promise of what's to come for us as a nation, as well as what's to come for the game of rugby in the country and on the continent.
Of course, this field's in such good quality as well, because not only rugby has been doing well in Stellenbosch, but Stellenbosch FC have lifted themselves to the PSL recently, play some matches here. And shortly we're going to have an interview. Couture Lowe is down on the touchlines, and she will be taking us away. Couture?
It's half time at the Donny Craven, and the Springbok women are just in the lead, 17-12 against Kenya, the Lionesses. A much more competitive match, I must say, compared to the first test match. So it's good to see that both sides are getting their practice in, I want to say, for a very big year over the next year, of course, leading up to the Rugby World Cup in New Zealand. And I'm very privileged to be standing with South African rugby's first high performance manager for women, Lynn Cantwell, all the way from Ireland. So we're the first to chat to her. So thank you so much, Lynn, for joining us today. And just in general, what do you make of South Africa at the moment?
Oh, wow. Look, it's great to be here. I started in the role in January, so I've just been meeting everybody virtually, and you feel like you're best friends. And then it's just lovely to get here and see people face to face. You get a good sense of the girls, meet the girls, obviously, and just get an appreciation for who they are, what they're trying to do, the coaches, what they're trying to do, and all those things that you have to pick up in person. But look, so much work has been done at a kind of strategic planning level, and you know the union and the provinces are all massively committed to change in the game and progress in the game, working on the back of all of the great work that Mr. Puzi has done developmentally for years and years and years, and we just want to keep planning and progressing, because there's so much potential in the girls and in the competition and globally, so that's what we're committed to.
How's it been? You said you took or started in January rather, so how's it been? What's the plan until next year's Rugby World Cup? What's your first job, if I can say that, official job?
Yeah, look, I suppose ultimately the measure of our programme, of what we're doing, is going to be the results in the World Cup, and we want to make sure that we utilise the momentum to try and gain as much visibility for the women's game through the girls, and their fundamental job is obviously to perform on the pitch, and that's what they're focused on. But we can obviously use that as a platform to be able to show young girls what they can be and what's possible, and try and through that deliver key messages about what we're trying to do in the game. But there's such a broader job of work to do. You know, yes, it's about the national team, but we can't achieve at the national team if we don't really develop the foundations and make it sustainable for the future. And that's what I think that's my biggest impression, is every single person that I speak to, whether it's in Saro or whether it's in provinces, I have been blown away by just the the want for progress, but there's often not the understanding of how, which is fine. None of us know that. Well, we do know that, but it's there's not an awful lot of information in the world, but we do know it. So I suppose our job is to try and work with everybody, with the unions, with the clubs, with the underage structures, to try and understand what do we need to do, what is in the way, what do we need to get out of the way, so that we can allow the women's game to thrive, which will be different to the men's game. And it's identifying what those things are to create a good sustainable system.
Because it's very clear. I think I was in the press conference when you were announced, and it was so nice to engage with the rest of the South African media. But I remember it was just so obvious is that you can't copy and paste from what the men as a high performance are doing onto the women. So just some of the quick things that are different from the women's and the men's game from a high performance perspective.
Yeah, look, this is a great topic, and I think
for hours.
Yeah, women's sport in general is such an emerging topic. Women's equality is an emerging topic, and I suppose what we're trying to put our finger on is let's create the system and redefine the system based on what it's like for females, and let's embrace that so we have just more sport as opposed to either or. But what does that look like from a high performance system point of view? I suppose we understand more that female athletes, females are motivated by certain things, so we often look to coaching and how is coaching delivered, and how do you have to speak to females to get the best from them? What's the environment that you need to create in order for females to thrive, which might be different to males? It might be more relational, it might be more kind of reflective and facilitative, etc. But then I suppose if we look to the nooks and crannies of what your females' bodies are different shapes, the female journey is different. Eventually are we talking about maternity and family friendly type of environments, all those kind of things. But that's not to take away from the competitive natures of what female athletes can be. Ultimately, you're just athletes that want to be the best that you can be. So we're saying that, but we're just trying to, redefine what that looks like for a female. It's a diversity thing, really. It's just opening us to difference and change, because we recognise how sport is delivered at the moment is man-centric, and that's fine. But we want to open it up to more, and I think we can. And as I said, the welcome for that from Saru and the provinces has been real. So fingers crossed for big things.
Big things also just ran onto the field, so let's get to that. Lynn, thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of the match. All right, Lynn Cantwell, our high performance manager at SA Rugby. Let's get to the action. It's the Springbok women up against Kenya.
Well, Katulo, quality is always the ultimate professional, conducting that interview on the touchlines with Lynn Cantwell, freshly into the country, and that is the Ireland High Performance Manager that has come in to be a part of the Springbok women's coaching team, and long may she last in the role. Big things coming at the World Cup next year, and Kenya, of course, still can qualify for the World Cup as well. We could have 2 African teams there. We're back underway with Jordan straight into the contact. It is uncompromising out there.
Well, if you've just joined us, I'm Anton Taylor. I'm with my colleague and friend Paul Stubbs. We've just seen the best of the best. Couture Low interviewing on the sideline, and it is an absolute test match battle, a celebration of rugby as the Lionesses from Kenya take on South African Springbok side.
Testing.
South Africa guaranteed a spot in the upcoming World Cup. Kenya, and there's my colleague Paul just said, have the opportunity to enter that competition when they play against Colombia later this month. And I don't think anyone will be rooting for them more, and the people in the stadium and ourselves.
Backwards. Knock on the ground.
Knock on, and it will be a Kenyan put into the scrum. This should be really interesting, because the scrum itself was very interesting in the first half. In the first 20 minutes, Kenya completely dominating. There was a drinks break. The South African coaching team came on to speak to the South African charges, and things changed. Also, early on, Mika Gunter on debut was injured, and Sonamzi came on, forcing some reshuffling for that South African pack.
Bind.
So let's see how they go in a Kenyan feed.
Set.
Just greater stability ever since that opening quarter of the match, but the Kenyan women keeping it in the scrum, and wisely so. Wambui doing very well. Penalty advantage to Kenya, and that's how you turn a set piece into an advantage.
On the angle.
That is extraordinary. What a picture perfect scrum from the Lionesses, and the handling of the 8th woman, Wambui, to tow it and keep it in play like that. And Kenya immediately, it's been the story of the game. They strike back. It's almost really toe-to-toe, punch for punch. As now they get the opportunity, they've had the perfect scrum pull. Now the line-out chance. I wonder if they'll send it out. Well, we shall see.
Yeah.
And they've been mostly conducting defensive penalties. Excuse me,
Okay.
defensive line-outs
Closer.
against South Africa, and they've been very effective there. Can the Kenyans organize themselves with an attacking line-out? Late arrival from Chajira doesn't look very well organized.
Okay, ladies. We
Going
can't
up
have
with
people
Muyuka.
running in, and you've got to
I
get your
believe
timing right. Let's sort
That
it
evidence
out.
would suggest that the defensive organization of the
You had a
Kenyan
player
line-out is
running in
better
late.
than the
We've set
offensive.
the line out, so let's stick to it.
And now there's pressure, Anton. Because when you have a line-out like that, your opposition knows. You're slightly disjointed, might not know what you're doing at the second one.
Yep.
And they will
Back in.
contest.
Numbers are
Absolutely.
set.
See, that's what Paul was talking about, the back and forth. Certainly height, not a problem for the Lionesses. What a steal, though. Absolutely stellar play. Pumi Mate. But the ball juggled. Paul, and the Lioness, well, we see the flag being raised. But you called it, though. You said the Springbok women were going to compete. And how well read was that?
Yep, throwing someone up at the front and leaving the simple contest
that's
there. Now, how do the Springbok women respond? Because they've been under pressure themselves. Sonamsi. Once again, the reliable recipient, Mgatshulwa.
Advantage, knock.
And wow, that's poor.
Oh,
You're
anxiety.
under pressure there. There's a knock.
And the knock-on has come from Kenya. So we're going back for a scrum, a knock-on at that line-out.
Knock from 2 in the tackle.
Well, getting off the hook there, the Springbok woman, but not a very calm clearance. But similarly so, the Kenyans scrambled when they were defending in the first half. So the contest much easier to execute than the organization required to clear the ball from your own 22.
Paul, we've spoken about the cooperation and the greater theme between these test matches, and it's opportunity for the Kenyans. They've been scoring off counter-attacks, they've been runaway tries using athleticism. The opportunity for them to be put under pressure with the set-piece opportunities as a stunning scrum from the Springbok women, and they say, we'll match you, we'll match the Lionesses. Almost a replica of what was dished out to them early on.
Oh, that's massive. See Sanaliswa Charlie trying to keep her cool. She must be pumped up about that on debut, finally getting the upper hand over this Kenyan side, which has really been taking it to them at the scrum set piece. Saliers into touch just from Yaki Saliers. Well, another set piece test. The scrum going South Africa's way. And now kicking for the line out. You know that the Kenyan side will contest at the front, as they do. Very poor throw.
Not straight.
And that's the effective pressure.
Scrum. Scrum.
And it was Achulwa who was intended to receive that ball. She's been really used very well and very good at getting up in the air today. And
Ladies, left of the mark, please.
That the number of different
Both of
jumping
you.
options
Left
for
of
the
the
Springbok
mark,
women may be
offsides.
limited. Katha Jacobs looks like she is the most likely to be able to get up there with her height, but you also need the lifters that have the capacity to take those jumpers up
Coach.
to the peak of their jump.
Bind.
very good point, Paul. And now this is what we love. Let's see how this battle turns out. Oh, dead even at the moment. Oh.
Kenya clear, Adi Hambo.
Wow.
Spreading it to Musindalo. Their fullback, Musi.
Oh!
Dangerous runner.
Yikes!
In for the try.
She's gonna do it!
Get a load of that.
Oh!
The Lionesses are roaring here at the Donny Craven Stadium.
Janet Musindalo carves up the Springbok side. And
Put your lines here.
it is an absolute fest out here. You knew it was going to happen. The speed. I think she sidestepped half of Donny
Going to
Craven.
drop kick.
And a bombshell dropped on the Springbok women's side.
Oh, well, this game just takes another twist. 66 points to 0. I know that I have repeated it many times, but it bears repetition right now. because that scoreline has absolutely no chance of repeating itself. Not only have they wiped away that egg which they put up in the first match, they have scored points galore, and they are looking as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than the Springbok women's side when they have ball in hand. The organization that the women's side showed, in the Springbok women showed in the first half, using Zane Jordan to pin Kenya back into their own half, using the 50-22 rule, that seems to have gone away here in the second half, and South Africa are playing to the strengths of Kenya as a result. Broken play is not something you want to give up to Kenyans.
Time's off.
Well,
3, sub. Number 3.
Zane Jordan ways to restart. Paul, you mentioned it was almost inevitable that try scorer Janet Musandalo was going to cross over, as we see the reserve Amashla Nyoba coming onto the field to assist with the scrums. But the Kenyans, it's almost when they get the ball and it's broken play and there's space, you know what's going to happen. And Zane Jordan, you know what's going to happen when she has opportunities to kick. Precision, fed back to the Springbok women's side. And the early replacement hooker takes into down, and a set piece move. And the woman who has been so good in the air, Achulwa, takes contact.
And now Kawe, so prominent in the first half, to Jordan, into the line, Eloise Webb. Trying to apply their own intensity to this match. And the women of South Africa, Katha Jacobs, carries it in. Felicia Jacobs from the base, and now space is opening up for Solonsi. Jordan on the outside to Aris. Aris fires one back inside, desperately so. And is that still alive? Play on is the call. Jacobs almost getting away. And it's a scramble now for sure, a knock on eventually. And Anton, we spoke about broken play being the friend of the Kenyan side. And the Springboks are absolutely playing into their hands here in the second half. A complete change of approach from the first. It's an unfortunate injury here. We really hope it's not too serious.
Well, I mean, Paul, the lack of regard for their body, the way in which these players are throwing themselves into play. I think it was Cesar Solante who dived at that ball earlier. Felicia Jacobs, you know that there's an opportunity, she will run with the ball. And, you know, it's really becoming a battle, and the toughness showing. And it has opened up in it. And one senses that the Springbok women are now under a lot of pressure. You know, they are, as you said, they're not structurally as precise as they were earlier. You know, Zane Jordan, you mentioned, had really started off so well with the implementation of the 50-22 law. Now they're trying to play Kenyan rugby, and it's becoming a battle. We see women lying on the floor, the big hits coming through.
And that's just what you want to see in the game of rugby. Uncompromising defense. Everybody knows just how much this means. We just mentioned that Kenya are preparing for a match against Colombia and seeking to qualify for that World Cup to get 2 African teams there. Yep. South Africa already qualified, preparing for a match that's coming up against France. Strong opposition, who they will face at the World Cup when that time does come next year, as well as England and Fiji in South Africa's group. So this is just the kind of test that the coaching staff would have been looking for, led of course by Stanley Robenheimer. But missing a lot of experience today.
Which one?
Not only Babalwa Lachwa, regular captain of the side, but Nolusindiso Boy, legendary South African women's rugby player. The rise of Border this year's Currie Cup was just wonderful to see.
Wrestling dominance from the Western Province women's side, who have been so strong
over
the past half decade.
Set!
So Naomi Amuguni coming onto the field. Some new players for both teams.
Well, Nyoba's going nowhere.
Stop, Red. Hold on. You're on.
The clearance from Kenya, not too much distance on that. Presenting an opportunity to the women of South Africa, who trail by 2 points here.
Wow. Who would have predicted that after the last game? What a story for the Lionesses. From a 66-point loss to leading the Springbok women's side by 2 points. Remarkable. And now a set piece, now an opportunity for the Lionesses. These women have put their bodies on the line today. As we see a player exiting, and we see a change for the line out right now. The Springboks
Just open up a little bit. Yeah, and then everyone in line.
immediately get into position.
So
And
sub on.
Goretti coming on in jersey
Right,
22.
Tom on.
Sonamzi feeds. Not perfect.
Scrum.
Not perfect at all. The call is not straight into the line-out scrum to Kenya. So the line-out really not going according to plan, especially so in the second half here for South Africa. The fact that Gunter was put
It's
out in the
alright.
first half, the starting hooker for the team, must have disrupted the plans that they had. But Sonamzi needs to start connecting with Tachulwa, who appears to be the only jumping option for South Africa women, or they could start changing up to the approach
Crouch.
to the line-out, lessening the numbers, throwing short.
Bind.
Paul, yeah, you're on the spot there.
Set.
But we saw Mpumi Mate earlier steal a line out. So she could perhaps be brought in. Wow. Yep. Now the Kenyans, this is where they look dangerous. You can see, you just know it's on. And the try scorer palms off, puts a player through. And now the captain, Dumka, just around the ankles, brings down the inside centre for Kenya, Philadelphia Kodo. And we hear from the sidelines, Oba, drive, go.
All on.
Now the kick over the top, finding some open room behind the South African ladies. Malinga is back to clean it up. Only one Kenyan defender there, but she's tackled by her own player. Remarkable scene. Get a penalty.
She got the pull.
Here they come, the Lionesses, leading by 2 points, and now with a penalty in position to either kick to the corner or for post.
I think, Paul, I think they want to take a quick touch. They've been struggling a bit with the lineouts. They've got a lot of pressure on them.
Poles.
I get it. Well, actually, you know, what do I know?
Test.
3 points, of course.
Test match rugby, Anton. Test match rugby. And wow, this is very much a test match that we're watching as well, separated by
Marks
such
over
a
here
small
where the
margin.
ball is.
Players putting the body on the line in defense. Now structurally in attack. There's plenty left to be desired from both sides perhaps, but Kenya growing in confidence in the second half, finding a way to advance with ball in hand just by getting it to the outside backs, and specifically Janet Musindalo in the 15 jersey, who's been given a license to run.
When Musindalo gets the ball, you know. But as we say, test match rugby, intelligence, looking to stretch the lead to 5 points.
Arihambo, no problem at all from the number 10, shining so brightly here this afternoon in Stellenbosch. And aren't they having a great time?
The smiles are just wonderful. And you know, one of the things I love about women's rugby is that the women are not afraid to show their emotion. And their arms were raised, the support, and it's infectious. It really is a pleasure to be in the stadium today. And thanks to all our viewers for joining. So now Jordan tees off again.
Oh, yes, please. That's on the money. Just as you train in shadow in the captain's run before. Taking it was Mate. And Felicia Jacobs continues to provide perfect ball to Jordan. Tough pass to deal with for Gawe. Saliers into the line. In over the ball. The Kenyans are turning it at will. Olesia now powering away. Trying for a turnover of her own, Eloise Webb. Kenya feeling good now. Well,
And
hands
how's
in.
that, Paul? It wasn't good enough for Alicia to force the turnover. She went for a run as well, gained 10 meters, and then the penalty.
Well, who's looking like the better side now? You ask yourself that objectively speaking. A side that won 66 points to 0 just on Thursday, the South African women now trailing by 22 points to 17.
What a story, Paul. What an amazing comeback. And it chases on. You see the try scorer earlier on in the end of the second half was Lynette Morda. Excuse me, or Lindo rather.
Just look at that, Anton.
Yeah.
You saw 4 players chasing after that kick as it went into touch as well. Just shows the application of this Kenyan side to the small things.
Straight line.
And here they stand, ball in hand. leading by 5 points against their mighty opposition. The clock ticking down. Disruption from South Africa at the front. Leg being held up off the ground and complaining about that as well.
And again, Phumi Mate steals it once more. An absolute menace in the lineouts. We see the kick, and this is when there's danger. I mentioned the blue hair of Lynette Mora, who waits there.
Stop, Red.
Opportunity for the Springbok woman now. Jordan.
Oh, there's some nerves going on out there.
Oh, and who did we say? That was actually Lindo, excuse me.
Stop.
Up it goes once more from Adi Hambo, and now Jordan forced to get onto the front foot, trailing as they are. The women of South Africa behind Yaki Saliers. A great boot on her. That might have touched the Kenyan player.
Late tackle.
Penalty. Interesting now.
Interesting.
Well, that's very far back. Oh, this has turned out to be an absolute screamer of a rugby match.
And we see Libby Janssen van Rensburg comes on. And I tell you, the Lionesses literally are roaring. You can hear them. They are shouting. They are geeing themselves up. It's really and on the sidelines, we see the South African women's side who aren't playing, cheering on. What a moment. And the debutant, Jackie Saliers, who scored a try earlier, put in that kick. But now the new player who's come onto the field kicks it and makes touch, which is a very good thing, because every time the ball gets sent out to the Kenyan back line, you get a bit nervous.
Open.
Janssen van Rensburg, just one cap to her name coming onto the field. To the front! Oh,
Backwards,
missing the target again, Sonamzi.
Backwards.
Just about getting that ball back. South Africa now onto the attack with Janssen van Rensburg.
Oh, bringing the impetus is Janssen van Rensburg, charging around a strong tackle on her. Jacobs, who is just tireless and stunning hands. And that was spun out by Louise Webb. But the defense, and we see the reserve. Bang indeed. Nyobe says, get out of my way.
Oh, she's been great.
Van Rensburg literally put her hand up, called for it, the attacking kick. Malinga off the shins.
Oh, wow. It is fast and loose at the Donny Craven here today. The Kenyan Lionesses have upset the odds, and they are taking this one down to the wire. As a matter of fact, they continue to lead by 5 points, so it's the South African women who are taking it down to the wire, chasing a side which they so comprehensively beat just days ago.
Now Mate, who's been stealing the lineouts, is going to be looking to contest. Both teams struggling on their attacking lineouts. South Africa has been competing extraordinarily well. Just have gone back by referee Ashley Murray Pretorius. But look at that warfare on the ground.
Pressure. Great tackling there. Katha Jacobs applying herself to the situation, and Kenya on the retreat. Outstanding kick from Adi Hambo. And that toe is in touch from Malinga. Oh, that is desperately unlucky.
And Malinga, you could just tell, was just desperate to have a run. And that, life's a game of inches.
Great have the line.
So now this is going to be the battling point. We saw the line out just coming the way of the Lionesses earlier.
Take a step.
And Mate, she's saying some words to the Lionesses. How's it going to roll?
We are 21 minutes into the second half. So time is ticking away. That was a fantastic line-out, by the way, especially in the context of what's been happening today at that set piece.
Absolutely stunning stuff from the Kenyans, getting their best line-out of the second half, but the defense is having none of it. And the Springbok women are marching the Kenyans and the Lionesses back. However, there's a host of players waiting for it. And still you see the danger lurking out. If they can get it out to their wingers, they're 15.
Now, one thing, Anton, that would be clear if there were a wider angle on the shot, there's the one problem with the Kenyan women's players. Although they are there in number, they are not there in depth.
Yes, bunched up.
So nobody's running onto the ball, and they're not penetrating the South African defensive line as they have in the past. But from broken play, you've seen just how dangerous they can be. Here's Webb.
And if you can believe it, that is a lock with dancing moves. And we might take
straight off your feet.
Another turnover.
And it's caused because the Springboks are getting too into it. Now danger as the fullback palms it out to the winger, Lynette Mora.
There to secure ball, Kodo. It's been a steady influence, Philadelphia corridor. South Africa trying to attack this ruck, but they will not be getting any possession back. They'd do well to fan out again.
Yeah, you see as Paul mentioned. Oh! Wow! Knocked back, but the Lioness is just not standing very deep. As a turnover, sees an opportunity for the Springboks. Now it's on. Your Dons, calm heads. Let's Malinga have the opportunity to go on a run. 2 women. Dump her down. Jacobs, ever present, fires it out.
That's Jacobs, Katha Jacobs this time. She's been hard at work in the scrum. Jordan.
Overlap Paul.
And now
Janssen van Rensburg.
Janssen van Rensburg has the capacity to break tackles for the side in green and gold today. Jacobs off to Jordan. Whipping on the side. It's Grain. Verushka Grain taking it forward. The urgency of the women.
Off her feet. No.
Here to see the tap and go,
Where it
not
happened.
from the right spot. Both sides employing tap and go now.
Work.
Secure
Get back your 10 meters.
Felicia Jacobs.
Time's off. We'll wait.
Really brilliant play by the Springbok women's side to keep it in play there.
Ladies, time's off. We take a water break.
We're having a time off.
It's a water break.
Oh, there's an injury.
I was going to say, we almost needed the intensity of this game.
Oh, another drinks break wouldn't do anybody any harm right now. And indeed, the drinks come streaming onto the
Ladies,
field. Anton, wow.
It's a water break.
How's
2 minutes?
Janssen van Rensburg's come
2
onto the
minutes,
field
it's a water break.
immediately, made her influence felt. Malinga as well has been just looking to run. And Malinga, Blue Bulls player, she's got
Thank
2
you.
caps to her name. And Janssen van Rensburg, 1 cap as well, fellow Blue Bulls. So the debutant, well, not, what should we say, the newbies, so to speak, impressing. And you can see how keen they are to show themselves and prove themselves as the team and squad built towards the World Cup.
And so important in the women's game where there are so few fixtures organised. For example, the last time the Springbok women played, they played against Scotland, and I was doing that game back in 2019. So few and far between the matches, so important to have those training camps to be as high level as possible. Evidence to that regard is, I think back in February, that Jacques Nienaber and Dan Jordan joined the Springbok women's to do some scrum training as well as general training as well. And I think it's very important going into the future that we start to combine the talents of both coaching setups that we have for the men's and women's, but at the same time bringing in individuals like Lynn Cantwell who can structure that training towards the women's game as opposed to the generalization of a rugby player.
Well, as you said, it's the epitome of stronger together. Having people like the men's coach coming in, you mentioned Paul Delport earlier, who has been really a veteran who's been working hard with the Blissbook, the women's sevens for years. And such a good point, Paul, in that also understanding that women's rugby is different to men's rugby, and you can't have a man or adapt the game, just Photoshop it from the men's style. There's different things to bring into consideration, and that's why it's so wonderful, as you say, to see all the different elements catered to and thought of.
And you have to find that balance to take yourself to the top. It's so fluid in the women's game right now as to who is the best team at any given time. It's just a different approach that has to be taken.
Thank you.
So far as the structure of the game, the way that you play the game. I mean, compared to the Springboks, what we're seeing now from both of these sides, it's worlds apart. The Springboks have developed the game, of course, very much based on a kick chase. Different story altogether here in the women's game. Putting yourself into position, if you can find the gaps, as the Springbok women did so regularly in the first half, to put your opposition under pressure and work on your set piece like your line out to compete to win not only the opposition ball,
Ladies,
but
they've
your
asked
ball
for a
as
scrum.
well when it counts.
They've
The
asked for a
rolling maul as
scrum.
well, which has not been great for the Springbok women here today. The Kenya Lionesses nullifying their very first one, driving them back into touch, and they had to splinter away and break up from the second effort.
Well, off camera, the Springbok women's side are very deep. Janssen van Rensburg mentioned her.
Time
She's
on.
standing hungrily, and Jordan, her calmness just exudes. She really has anchored the team. We've seen impressive scrums from both sides in the second half.
Feed from Felicia Jacobs. Oh, it's go time for the Springbok women. Janssen van Rensburg into the line. Tough one to take for Webb, and they move it outside to Malinga.
Oh! How's that defense, Paul?
Wow, that's brilliant.
And this time Malinga stays in touch.
Does very well. Felicia Jacobs gets it to Jordan. Here she comes.
Oh, head down.
She has not stepped backwards once today, unless she has been driven in that direction. Eloise Webb cleverly looking for the gap on the weak shoulder, but now diving in away from their feet. The Kenyans not enough to get a penalty against them. Doom Care, the captain, carries it in. The tempo is irresistible right now. Now the big lady in Nyoba come into the team and held up the scrum so capably on her side. Carries tap and go from Jacobs. Surely not back the full 10.
Well, I think that's probably the first time Nyoba has been moved back in her life. She was thudded
If you want to take
by
a
the
quick shot on the
Lionesses.
mark.
And I'll tell you
Number
that
4 and 5
the Springbok
offside.
women are charging, but the Kenyans coming onto it. And just, of course, Jacobs is going to take it quickly. You can see the exhaustion, the players really, these last 20 minutes, we spoke about it early on. This is where the battle comes on. The Lionesses have come back from a 66-point loss. Can you believe it? Leading now with just under 20 minutes left by 5 points. And it's everything. A try right now with the conversion. You've got Zane Jordan's boot on the ready. Changes everything. And the defense, we must credit to the Lionesses. Last gasp tackles, keeping out Malinga, stopping the players, putting absolutely everything. And that's why they're lying on the ground, because they've left nothing. Nothing out there.
And you can tell just what the South African team thinks of Ayana Malinga. Anytime she catches the ball, you can hear the South African players that are not in the squad today rising with noise, just hoping that Malinga runs the ball. Dangerous runner that she is. Solonsi has been outstanding in the 8 jersey today. Looks like she's getting some treatment after getting punished in the hits. The defensive line of Kenya has continued from the first half to the second.
Paul, you said a great point in the first half. You said it was Solonsi who had put up her hand to take on the Kenyans. And a huge amount of respect to her as she gets up.
Just wait for the whistle.
Wow, what a worry, because the Kenyans have not been kind. And here we go.
Well, tap and go. Not quite sure who they were passing it to. Phenomenal step from South Africa, really. After all that time to plan, slow down after the penalty was given. The tap and go.
We go forward first.
Runners were not ready. There was no structure, no plan. I thought for sure Amahle and Nyoba from depth off the tap ball. The big number 18 recently come onto the field. But that was not the case, and now it's a line out to Kenya.
Keep an eye on my tip.
That is brilliant from Kenya under pressure. And look at that structure as well. To pass that off, set up a ruck here so that you can set up a clearing kick.
Well, onside.
Professional rugby.
Well, Paul, what is so hard to do in rugby is to improve during the game, to improve your set pieces. Kenya have gone in live time, in the game, from struggling in the lineouts to giving precision ball to their jumpers and have just really the turnaround. Both teams, their scrums have been on point. And now a huge, huge moment for Springbok women to see if they can come up to the stead. Their lineouts.
Gachulwa in the 7 jersey, or Mate in the 4. Mate it was, and it's snatched away in the center by Olesia. What a match she's had.
And now the Kenyan players are deep. So we see the kick. Ugh.
Just taken back.
Yeah, once they're standing deep, then
you know.
Kick. Well.
Sub 2 and 3.
And it was out directly.
Yeah.
Wow, that's terrible. That's unfortunate.
We see a host of new
Number
players.
7. Sub.
Rose Tiedot, she might be a thorn in the side of the Springbok women's team. And really, the South African side will be needing to really try and emulate the Kenyans and bring something up with their lineouts, because they've been struggling.
No, it's a line out. Open.
I think they've had the wind knocked. Sorry, Paul. They've had the wind knocked out of the South African women's side. Oh, there you go.
No contest this time, and they'll be very thankful for that, catching it around the hip line. And so Namzi back onto the attack. And now Jacobs. Nobody that keen to run straight into the noses of the Kenyans. That much is clear.
I wouldn't be putting my hand up.
Advantage.
So much space behind the Kenyan line still for that kick that was working so well in the first half. And one has to wonder why South Africa have turned away from that tactic. Now Jacobs.
Jacobs takes it quickly. Not going for the 3 points. Finds Rensburg. Joseph van Rensburg. The hands from the captain. And the Springbok women are not backing down with the speed with which they play the game. It's just a huge credit to them. We see Jacobs, but
Wait.
occasionally what that means is those final
Captain.
passes. Just we've seen about 5 or 6
Captain.
last passes not going.
Ladies, who's
hand.
the
I wonder
captain?
now, Paul, 3 points or.
Well, Anton, what we're training for is the World Cup here. This is a test match. There have been kickable
There's too many offsides
available
now.
points
Speak
there,
to
especially when the
players.
tap and go from Felicia
Okay,
Jacobs.
I'll give you a
after that,
minute.
Injury.
Speak
which
to
could
them.
have brought the score back to within 2 points.
Onto scrums.
Another penalty here would have put them into the lead. So if this South African team is here to prepare for test match rugby, they should be doing
I've just
test
given a
match
minute
things,
to speak to
just
them.
as the Kenyans did when they took their 3 points when they were on
Okay.
offer, which has left them in the lead now.
Time's still off.
Currently, South Africa are chasing a deficit, a lot like a school team would chase a deficit, just with extra energy instead of application and going back to the things that brought you
Sure, right.
success in the first half. Like when Zane Jordan was just popping it over that Kenyan defensive line, which is so aggressive, and suddenly they were scrambling backwards the entire time. South Africa controlled possession for
Thank
the
you.
whole half.
Well, yeah, Paul, you've summed up in that the Kenyan side are not the side that you break through physicality. Tap and goes and trying to barge through. We've seen it's an unpleasant. If I would play, I'd say please can we go for 3 because the Lionesses are just smashing the Springbok side. So as you say, it worked so well, the structure. You've got Zane Jordan, 13 years of rugby experience under her belt. And, to slow it down, it's fortuitous, one thinks, perhaps for the South African
Okay,
side.
ladies, we're going to start with the
There's a
scrum.
beer break. And either way, calm heads, opportunity for 3 because a tap it. Okay,
Scrum.
All right.
Scrum called. To
Mark,
all the
second
front
person.
rankers out there, you can celebrate. It's time to pack down a scrum.
And I tell you that South Africa have been extraordinary in their scrums. And I can anticipate Solansi, the
move out the
warrior.
way.
We've been singing her praises. She's been controlling it so at the back of the scrum.
And just look at the immediate effect. Anton.
Time on.
Faces opened up on the field because
Crouch.
8 of the Kenyan defenders are attracted into this one set piece.
Bind.
If you break away from this, there's options on the blind. Center field in the 22
Stand up.
of Kenya. The Lionesses
So we're closing
have
the
a
gap
job
on
their
this
hands.
side.
And I'll tell you, there's
Let's hold our
danger on
weight.
both fronts. On the right side of the scrum, off camera, Janssen van Rensburg, who has brought a huge amount of physicality, running straight. On the left side, on
Don't
the wing,
rest
you
your
see
head on his
Malinga
shoulder.
lurking. So right now, South Africa in a very good position. And really good decision making from them. Slowing it down, using one of the strongest aspects of the game. And here we go.
Bind. Set.
Well, that's not a started set. Early shove. Oh, and the tap and go from the short arm.
Thank you.
Off the foul where they're hard
Advantage.
running inside center. Very little ball for her in the second half. She moves forward regularly. Offside,
Near
surely
advantage.
Jacobs gets it away to Sonam Z. Now Lingolo, pardon me, takes it forward. Jordan moves it off to Janssen! Oh, what a try that is in the corner. Accelerating away. The replacement finally makes it count.
Came in like a wrecking ball with the head bad. She was always going to do it. We've been talking about her straight running, her physicality. Just was barged her way over and it's so just distinct of her play and well done to the Springbok women's side there. Paul, you said play to your strengths.
Absolutely, and there is one of their strengths right there. Just one cap to her name before today, but this will not be her last cap, that much is for sure.
Absolutely
Natural talent.
not.
Seems unfortunate to have to take Yaki Saliers off to accommodate, but of course this is not the starting lineup that the Springboks
Dylan, the green
women will be
lucid.
going forward with. This is a much changed lineup from the first test against Kenya, and many more things are to be sorted out before the big business of the World Cup comes next year. But Janssen van Rensburg certainly will be in the reckoning, and with the responsibilities of kicking as well.
She doesn't seem too phased. She looks ready. She certainly stood up to the occasion. She's never scored a point for South Africa before. She's now about to potentially score 7.
And the scores are currently level. This for the lead. Not a clean strike at all, replacing Yaki Saliers off the tee, but that leaves us at level pegging, 22 points apiece.
Well, to the neutral observer, to somebody who's having the time of their life, like Paul Stubbs and myself, you want it to be tied because these next few minutes are going to be an absolute roller coaster.
And what about the coaching staffs as well? Stanley Robenheimer and co for South Africa. This is a perfect time to test out your structures, to see the way that your team will behave under pressure. If you can get the ball in hand, how will you approach it? Do you kick the ball downfield if you get a penalty? How do you advance the game the way that you want it to be? As for the Kenyans, of course, who have been outstanding in the second half. Can they secure a victory after all their hard work?
And you know the chase was always going to be on. Huge pressure on the Springboks. Sitting here we're sitting with Couture Low. The three of us, Paul, myself, and Couture, are on the edge of our seats. Stanley Robenheimer, the coach, shouting from the sidelines. Libby Janssen van Rensburg really kicks it up, and the chase is on. Built out.
It's a penalty over there. Number 10.
Hang on a second.
I've just spoken to you about offside.
Garcia reaching for the pocket.
Again. Are you number 10? It's the yellow card.
Oh.
Don't have any signal from our referee Ashley Murray
Scrum.
Pretorius right now.
Scrum. Scrum.
A penalty given as well. And a scrum called. Maybe it was a... Well, we'll be setting a scrum here. South Africa called the scrum from a penalty. An absolute change of pace from the tap and go from Felicia Jacobs after the collapse of the scrum. As South Africa were on the attack recently.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Nice poor double. The call was a penalty for offsides with Kenya. The Lionesses had been...
Whoa! Goodness gracious! They've given away a... That's not the spot.
In front of the mark.
Phenomenal scenes here in the dying stages of the match. So
Up
if you're
you are.
preparing for a test match, that's exactly
Remember,
what you
it's a
don't
free
want.
kick.
The scores are level right now. It's a free kick,
It's a free
so no
kick.
kick at goal can be taken unless it's a drop goal. A kick for
free
touch
kick.
will result in a South African line-out. Yes, and that's most likely what's being asked by Adi Hambo. Tap and go.
And you know it's going to go this way. Sends it, but the bravery of the tackle. Now there's danger. The Kenyan
Step
players are still standing a little bit, not as deep as they could be.
They're dominating every single time they carry the ball.
Right and left. This is when they're dangerous. Holding onto the ball so well. Good, such brilliant awareness from Adi Hambo.
Tackler.
Penalty. Now
Oi.
there is a question to be asked by Kenya. This is a kickable goal. There
Woo!
Hold.
going for the win. Test match rugby. Adi Hambo points to the poles. This lady, who very well might be the finest player out in this pitch this afternoon. What a match she's had. Points to the post. She's scored a try. She's kicked all the extra points for her team. She has run the game in general. And now she has a chance to sneak the Lionesses into the lead once more with the clock ticking
How
down.
much time is left?
She has been
25.
supremely confident throughout the day.
Thank you.
And just blending athleticism with her skill set. And I would not bet against her for this kick.
6 minutes to go, Anton.
Sure.
Tied.
Adi Hambo. No luck.
The commentator cursed her. I'm getting someone saying, give me your money. Well, you know what? I'm sorry to Grace Adi Hambo. I'm sorry to have cursed you, but what that means is that these final 5 minutes are going to be rollicking as it goes to hand.
It's a great pickup as well from Goretti. Came onto the field some time ago and hasn't featured much since. Away from Wambui. Well, disjointed from Kenya, standing at depth but nobody moving. We've been speaking about all match long.
Now we're getting to almost 4 minutes left. The Kenyan side using their hands. Janssen van Rensburg comes up so quickly. But on the left, the Lioness is bunched up, Paul. Oh, there we go. That is extraordinary skill set. Fingertip stuff.
Off your feet.
Penalty to Kenya. Let's bear in mind they're down to 14 women as well. For a long time now, they've been playing with one less.
I would never have guessed.
And they've dominated ever since. But one
There's
other
your
thing
mark.
which is very apparent is when South Africa defend, they're not leaving any deep-lying fullback to cover that position. Although they even have the extra player, their wings are not hanging back, so a kick over the top would be detrimental.
Let's kick.
Surely not for posts. Adi Hambo. No, she turns towards the touchline.
You can see the focus in her eye. Hoofs it upfield. The chase. Exquisite, because if that had not gone out, there would have been trouble. It's one of the most dangerous players, Cristobal Lindo. And every time you see a flash of blue hair, you know it's on. And now, Paul, we spoke about the way in which the Lionesses have regrouped their lineouts. They've turned them around. And there's a lot of players waiting for it off this lineout.
Contest in the center. The hands are spectacular to drag that one back in.
Gone forward.
Amuguni, but the knock-on called eventually. In celebration for South African women who get another chance to move this ball upfield. The score's level and down to just mere minutes left in this game.
Paul, it's the first time the South Africans have had, there's just been one-way traffic with the Kenyans. They've been getting their penalties. They've been forcing the scrums. Now, a huge moment. The scrums have been good from the South African side. We saw them use them earlier for Janssen van Rensburg's try. And looking at the back line, and you think certainly they're going to run it. Wouldn't be surprised if we see Libby Janssen van Rensburg
Stand up.
bashing it up.
Remember, let's not rest or push your head against the shoulder.
But, half the time the Kenyan defense knocks you back about 10.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to have a clean set on the scrum first. It's been a seesawing battle at this set piece. We know the arm could extend anyway. The very last scrum, Kenya earned themselves a free kick.
Bind.
2 minutes.
Set.
The score's tied. 22-all.
And it comes from Jacobs. Look at that scrum from the women of South Africa. They are marching in here. And a penalty comes.
Yizani! Yeah, I've brought it up.
A tap and go from her own 22-meter line almost. Felicia Jacobs almost finding a way through, but absolutely dragged in and mangled in the head.
All away from the jacket.
It's not test match rugby, Anton, but it is entertaining.
Paul, Felicia Jacobs she was dragged about 5 meters, and the smallest player on the field, 10. She has such heart, because she has been playing against probably one of the most physical sides in world rugby, and she has been bounded around, and not once has she respited.
Well, that one's come shanking off the boot there from Adi Hambo, which is a rare sight considering all the good work she's done today. Little breeze picking up behind the Kenyans as well later on in this match. So for the closing minutes,
check the numbers.
Kenyans will have a tailwind.
Final minute, I think, Paul. Wow. Okay, now this is a huge moment for Springbok women. Need to try and steal this. They've been successful, but the Kenyan Lionesses have really come to the party.
That's not great. Smashing it in there and hoping for the best. And the best is Solonsi picking it up.
Strong hand there, and it really is the final roll of the dice. South Africa.
Tap and go.
Went backwards.
Again and again. Backwards is the call.
They need
trying to make some movement forward, but an irresponsible offload. Tiendo picks it up.
No advantage.
Oh, the South Africans, they need the passes to stick. That's a problem. And now Kenya with a scrum. If they might be, I think they'll be budged. They're going to try to get their players. We'll see the wingers. But South Africa, the enthusiasm, obviously they want to run it, but just sometimes those passes. Oh. And the scrums have been an absolute battle. I think it would be a huge moment if the Springboks could force turnover here. Well, they have to almost. It's for the game.
Bind. Stand up.
Well, there's been trouble all match long.
With that one.
The scrum set. And as mentioned, Mika Gunther on debut having to go off so early. Had to be frustrating for the young lady. And since then, the ascendancy has been changing hands regularly.
Bind.
The introduction of a Nyoba has been very helpful for South Africa.
This is it, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, last roll of the dice. Uh-oh.
Here they come.
You know what it is.
Happy with the
bang, covered on the outside. Mora trying to get away.
And Malinga teaming up so well there with Solansi, who's been a true warrior for South Africa.
Roll tackler.
So many Kenyan players out left.
Slow to arrive, slow to be produced from that ruck. Auma passes it away. Kenya showing great continuity on attack late on in the match. So fitness clearly not a problem either for this side. Great pass from Olesia. And what a tackle from Malinga!
Oh, dishes out the doctor's treatment. Neither side can afford to make a mistake, and the Springboks will certainly not be wanting to give away a penalty as that pass is almost intercepted.
Well, very few skip passes we've seen today. Adi Hambo seeing some space on the outside. That almost a hospital pass, but the Flav has done exceedingly well.
Well, defensively now, the Springboks have forced the Kenyans into their own half. They've moved them back about 22 meters.
This could be it, Anton.
Use it!
Their turnover, is it?
Wow, this is going to be a scrum. This will end the match if it ends this way. And the defense of South Africa standing strong. But it appears we still have some time left. We're going to be playing on. It's going to be a scrum to South Africa.
Time off. I'll check. It's a blood.
We'll give the people what they want. The game continues. We're going to have the scrum. We're going to have more play. We're seeing some well-deserved assistance being given to the players. And that is, I believe it's Bushle Somazi. Excuse me. Bushle, I'm so sorry. It is Sonamzi. I will promise to never make a mistake. But she came on 2 minutes into the game, and she has been energetic. She has had one gear throughout, and she really has risen to the occasion.
I think it needs to be mentioned that
ladies,
the
number 5 sub.
South Africa in the second half
Number 5.
just hamstrung them, turning away from trusting the kick of Jordan to pin the Kenya back. Maybe there's a slight breeze in the face. I don't think that should have an effect. It's not a strong wind. But the tactics that saw South Africa to such success in the first half kept Kenya under pressure, stopped us from seeing the exciting running back line, which has been enjoyable, but I'm sure it hasn't been enjoyable for Stanley Robenheimer and co. But the tap and go has been, it's continuous right to the end of the match, as though, and perhaps this is why, they don't trust the set piece of the line out, and we've seen evidence of why. It's just not trustworthy. And we have word that there are 3 minutes left to play in this match, so don't you go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. And well, Paul, you made a good point. It's because the lineouts have been struggling that they have been sort of forced to resort to the tap and go. But I mean,
can we hurry it up?
The Kenyans, the side have just, and as we look at them, they are such physically strong players. And you pointed out the bravery of the Springboks to put up their hands, to continue running into what is a hard brick wall, you know. So 3 minutes left, Paul. Woo! Wow! Test match rugby at its finest.
Oh, this has been fun. And now in the closing stages, who will take the initiative? Does either side have the class, the clinicality, the quality to finish this match off? Can the South African women's team hold their depth and find some gaps, turn back to some structural tactics? Because the broken play appears to belong to Kenya.
Oh, they got the blind! So Nortsley draws the runner, Jacobs gets it out! The pace coming in. And, well, unsurprisingly, the Kenyan side smash South Africa out, get the line out, an area in which they have been dominating.
Well, to be fair, though, as well, I mean, the line-out's very much like the pre-95 era. It's completely up into the air as to which side can win it. Could be the attacking or defensive side. The contests have been good, but also the accuracy from the various hookers for the sides has left something wanting.
Okay.
Not a great technique previously from Otuoma for Kenya. Under pressure now. Great contest at the front from Mate.
You called it, Paul. You called it. Springbok women regrouping.
Ngotlekana tidied it up. Now passing away is Grain. Oh! Line Jordan.
Jesse van Rensburg!
Here she comes.
Oh!
Wow, they've come alive here in the dying moments.
Oh, no! Penalty for Springboks. Jesse van Rensburg.
No, surely not now. Surely not.
Let the girls play! The captain! And it is vindicated! Who else? The opening try scorer! The captain!
Oh my God! Making my advisements. They know better. She's out there. Dumka, the captain, getting over the line for the try. Oh, what a fascinating rugby match here. Kenya have been incredible, tackling, never missing their first-time tackles up until that point, until the captain of South Africa stepped up to the plate.
And what did we say? It's the South African way. You knock on the door until it breaks down, even if it is in the final minute of play. And who else but the captain to do it?
Oh, wow. This is
45
not what I
seconds.
expected driving down the N2 this afternoon.
Let's
What
give
a pleasure. Jordan for the extras. Easy as you like. We've got another play left in the game.
Whoa! Yeah, that means there's going to be, I'm going to call it, well, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. There's going to be an aggressive chase-up using the speed. And I just want to actually give a little bit of a shout-out to this Felicia Jacobs, who has not stopped the tap and go. Ultimately, being vindicated, her energy levels, she is a Duracell bunny. And she doesn't know what fatigue is. She doesn't care if she gets dragged across the field, running into these lioness giants. Whoa! Here we go. Paul Stubbs.
Well, it's important to secure ball now from this kickoff. Ariambo puts it up.
There we go. As the siren goes, it's a turnover. Kenyan ball.
Unreal.
Oh!
Sia, once again, penalty Kenya.
Number 16.
And that's what happens when you don't have your structures right. Got to get under that ball and secure it. In position was Mpumi Mata. Been so great on the contest today. Just couldn't grab hold of that ball. Tap and go from Judith Auma. Oh, straight into the teeth of the defense. Turnover attempted from Solonsi.
And you know what's going to happen. Now, and I talk about the South African way of knocking on the door. Kenya's saying we can do it. And as they march forward, see a host of players on the left.
Holds them up. Body position is poor. And Nyoba almost had them.
Wow.
Olasia.
Hasn't she just been a warrior today? She's been forcing turnovers, going on runs. Gallantly held up. Nyoba using her strength. And on the right. Oh, that is a gift to South Africa. They survived. That is that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Test Match Rugby. This is Women's Rugby. This is history.
Thank you.
The Springbok women victorious here at the Dani Craven Stadium after a breathless rugby match that swung this way and that. But perhaps the more notable contribution coming from their opposition today, the Kenya Lionesses, who made the trip down to South Africa for these two test matches, lost by 66 points to nil on Thursday, and came here to the Dani Craven Stadium and led for long periods of the match. Indeed, right until the dying moments, it looked to be a draw. And then the captain of South Africa today, Lusanda Dumka, just respecting that armband, or that proverbial armband that she's wearing. It's not hers to keep. Many others here in this team that have more experience, but on the day that you're given that responsibility to score the winning try, what a performance.
Cometh the hour, cometh the woman, cometh the captain, cometh the leader. And look at this, the camaraderie, the smiles. And as we said in the beginning, this is about building up rugby, women's rugby, African rugby. We wish from the bottom of our hearts, our Kenyan sisters, the opportunity to make it into the World Cup. They've got a test against Colombia later this month, and if they win it, they will join South Africa to be the second African